Sternglas watches are crushing social media right now. From my experience, their targeted adverts with attractive looking watches are all over my Instagram. The fact I'm having so many recommendations to try this brand and to review it on this channel suggests that something is working. These watches certainly look great online, but how do they stack up in person? Sternglas did send me in this watch for review, but as with all my review videos, that in no way guarantees positive coverage. They haven't paid me any money to say anything good about the brand, and they've got no editorial control over this video. They see this at the same time that you do. If that's the type of review that you like, then consider supporting me on Patreon. There's a link in the video description. Thanks to my first few patrons for joining me on this journey. I like to keep making more of these videos and getting hold of more watches as well. Either way, here is their Naos Automatik watch, which is currently retailing at about £270, although you can normally find a discount code for this brand. If you're lucky, you'll be paying closer to about £240. When I saw this on paper, there was one watch that sprung to mind. The Movement, aka MVMT Arc Automatic. The same watch that Alpha M shilled the hell out of in that Better Than Rolex video a while back. The specifications showcase a few things that both have got in common. These watches are made from the same grade 316L stainless steel. They contain the same Miyota 821A automatic movement. They also both come with a genuine leather strap and have minimalist designs. And not to mention, both of these brands have put a ton of social media marketing behind these. To be fair to Sternglas, they haven't been paying people to say that these are better than Rolexes. There are a few differences that we'll certainly cover, but I'm sure you can see my curiosity here. Is this another Movement wannabe, or is this something a bit different? This is a pretty new brand based in Germany, and while their watches are quality checked there, as far as I can tell, they're constructed elsewhere. I'd imagine somewhere in the Far East, but their website doesn't specify. Their primary selling point with this watch is going to be appearance, as it is with many watch brands out there. And overall, I really like the design of this watch, including the size. Let's begin with that. The piece has a 38mm diameter, which just fits fantastically well on my wrist. So many watches these days are 40mm or much larger, so it's refreshing to have an option at this size. I feel it's a sweet spot for most wrist sizes. This model has a snug 42mm lug-to-lug size with a depth of 13mm. It's certainly not the slimmest watch around, so if you're after the minimalist look paired with the thinnest case possible, I'd either recommend checking out some of the options in this video up here, or maybe consider their quartz version of this, which is half the depth. The dial is Bauhaus styled with very little clutter. I opted for this black version because, at least when looking at the photos, it seemed to look more premium, and when comparing this one to some of the white versions that I've seen in other people's videos, I'd say that that was pretty accurate. This one features an inner ring of slim hour and second markers with the numbers strategically positioned on the outside. I like this, it's really tastefully done and offers a really unique aesthetic. A lot of minimalist watches these days have fundamentally the same design as one another with the same chapter ring around the perimeter, a very cut and paste standardized design. So because this one is a little bit different in a couple of areas, I've really grown to like it. The chosen hands match the look well and are the perfect choice here. They're still really slim, and there's something else that I really like too. You'll notice the second and minute hand perfectly extend to cover the hour markers as they work their way around the face. If you have a touch of OCD, that's something that you're also likely to appreciate. I like how it's got some of those extra finishing touches. The logo is small and in the typical place, with the only additional writing being the German spelling of the word automatic. The Germans love to ram the letter K on the end of everything, I guess. Additionally, the black date window is something I really appreciate. I'd say the majority of watch brands that I've come across at this sort of price range are lazy in this regard. They tend to just ram standardized white date windows onto dark-faced watches, making them stand out like a sore thumb. However, this one blends in perfectly. Even the font matches pretty well. This is an example of how a date window should be implemented in my mind. Proportionally, it all looks great. If I have got any complaints here, it's mainly just going to be the lack of texture because this is all printed. Though with this implementation and this styling, I guess it kind of fits that minimalist look. The case is really well constructed. This Sternglas has a high shine finish throughout and is made of the standard 316L stainless steel used in loads of wristwatches. Wherever they've sourced this from, I think they've done a pretty good job. This feels weighty and solid, 6 screws hold the rear of the watch in place, the seal providing 50 meters of water resistance, which sounds good on paper, but in reality, it's kind of suitable for day-to-day use, not actually swimming. On the side, the crown is fairly standard and functions well enough. Honestly, there's nothing much to say here. There are a couple of areas where this is clearly better than the MVMT Arc. The first of which is the glass. This is double domed sapphire crystal with an anti-reflective coating. Just what I like to see. This will provide unbeatable scratch protection. Substantially better than the mineral glass found on the Movement watch. Another is definitely the strap. You know how I feel about the straps that come with the other watch brand. They're a disaster. This one came with a German-made genuine leather band. This isn't the best grade of leather. However, it's performed really well in the time that I've been testing this one. Upon first impressions, I have to say that this felt somewhat rubbery to an extent. But over the last few weeks, this has worn in far better than I was expecting, and I really think that it's quite a good strap. This is definitely up there with some of the most comfortable watch straps that I own at the moment. And around the holes, there just isn't that same level of distortion, creasing, and just destruction. I also feel like the dark brown colour goes really nicely with the black face. This also features quick release tabs, which makes strap changes incredibly easy and fast. But unless you're after a different look overall, I don't think you really need to be changing this anyway. The default one should last you quite a long time. The movement inside this watch is a fairly standard Miyota 821A. This is a solid automatic movement that can be purchased individually for around £35 online, obviously with a discount if bought in bulk. Is this the absolute best movement that you can get in a watch at this price point? Not really. You can get similar watch movements for less elsewhere. Does it suffice as part of this whole package? Yeah, I'd say so. I have to be honest here, when it comes to watch movements, I'm not massively bothered about which is in my watch. Looking at this watch as a whole, I see a couple of things. Firstly, there are some trade-offs. This isn't going to appeal to those of you who love a brand with history and heritage. Sternglas was founded in 2016. Furthermore, if you're after pure value for money on a material level, you can get watches with similar construction and movements for less elsewhere. Here, you're paying for good design decisions, and yes, that is a thing. For instance, other minimalist watches like the Junghans Max Bill are often recommended online, yet on paper don't offer the highest specifications for the money. You only get mineral glass, low water resistance, and unspectacular movements. You're paying a premium because the design is beautiful. The precision and thought that has gone into them is evident even for watch novices. It takes someone with skill and time to develop a watch design that looks that good. Am I saying this Sternglas is as good as a Junghans watch? Absolutely not. However, I think the watch looks really good, and I don't mind paying a bit more for that. The size of this is perfect, the dial is far from generic, the watch feels great, and for a micro brand, I think they've done a pretty good job with this one. It's also one of the most comfortable watches that I've ever worn, which surprised me. I'm unsure whether it's the size and shape or the case material itself, but it sits there very nicely indeed and has given me no issues. I think the asking price of almost £270 for one of these is on the high side though. In this price range, there is a lot of strong competition. I'm sure people will list them endlessly in the comments section, but for those who like the design, it may well be worth it. I don't think it's absolutely extortionately priced by any means. I definitely take it over the Movement Arc. I think that it has got more to offer. It looks better, it's generally got superior materials, namely the glass and the strap. And the final word is, if you're looking at this brand, I think that the Automatic probably offers slightly better value for money than the equivalent quartz pieces, though it's certainly not as slim. Overall, for what it is, which is essentially a fashion watch really, I think it serves its purpose pretty well. It looks awesome and the materials are solid enough in my mind. If you bought one of these and received it, I don't think you'd be disappointed. If you want to pick one up, I'll have one of these listed in the video description.